The bee-eaters are back, the hoopoes are back, the white storks are back, the black kites are back, and I'm back, this time in Casa de Campo, which is the largest public park in all of Madrid.
Sprawling across 17 square kilometers to the west of the city, Casa de Campo weighs in at a whopping 39 times the size of the Vatican City, or 8 times the size of Monaco, or to really put it into perspective, a whole 1 times the size of Madrid's Casa de Campo.
If you're coming from the city centre by foot, you can get to Casa de Campo by going down towards Príncipe Pío and crossing the bridge over the river, and then just walking up from there. You'll hit Lago, and then you can sort of wander off down the paths that stretch out from there. Or you can take the metro, it's line 10, straight to Lago metro station. Or you can go a little bit further to Batan, and that takes you kind of deeper into the park. And what I think is a nice thing to do is take the metro to Batan and walk your way back to Lago and try and sort of take in some of the different habitats on your way back.
As you walk deeper into the park and away from the city, the noise of people fades away and you become one with the birds.
One of the great things about the park is it's got this real rich variety of habitats. So you've got kind of native holm oak trees, you've got some pine groves, you've got creeks, you've got grasslands, and all of these sort of provide a home for things like black kites, red kites, owls, squirrels, snakes, wild boar, loads of different species to see here. It's really, really interesting place to come.
This grey heron was perched in the trees overhanging the lake, seemingly undisturbed by the crowds below.
Short shorts, pale Scottish legs, that's the combo I'm going for today. Anyway, when you're in Casa de Campo, you'll probably come across these pine groves from time to time. And when you do, it's really recommended that you just stop and see what you can see. I've been here for about 20 to 30 minutes and I've seen a Eurasian nuthatch feeding its young, I think, in a nest up there. I've also seen green woodpeckers, I've seen partridge, there's been a black kite circling around investigating what I'm up to. And I've seen a couple of hoopoes, my first of the year. Hoopos? I never know how to pronounce that name. Hoopoo is a good question though, because they poo all over their nest as a defense mechanism to warn off predators. But that's not why they get their name. They get their name from the noise that they make, I think, which is like whoop whoop whoop, whoop whoop whoop. And you can hear it a lot this time of year because they've just come back from Africa to spend the summer. Anyway, very recommendable to just sit and chill out for a minute and see what you can see around the pine trees.
There are quite a few of these black kites soaring over the park, among the many travellers who have come back from their wintering grounds in Africa. Here we have a Eurasian nuthatch, often rumoured to be the only bird that is able to clamber down trees head first.
Casa de Campo translates from the Spanish to country house in English. And when I first moved to Spain and I didn't really speak that much Spanish, I found that quite confusing because there are no houses in here, it's just a big bloody park. But it got that name from the fact that the royal family used to come and hunt here, so they called it their sort of country house. I guess they came to hunt wild boar and deer and stuff like that. But in 1931, during the Second Spanish Republic, it became a public park when the people of Spain decided that the royals were surplus to requirement. In fact, you can still see some Republican era fountains, especially down near the entrance by Príncipe Pío, and you can also find remnants of the Civil War. This was the stage for the siege of Madrid. A lot of heavy fighting was done here, so you can find a couple of old trenches and dugouts and things like that.
I have to say that my Spanish has fairly improved since I first came to Madrid, when the only phrase that I knew was "hasta la vista, baby," which somehow I thought meant "have a life, baby," thinking that the verb to have was hasta. Anyway, I spent my first weeks of going around the shops asking, "Hasta pan, do you have bread?" But actually, hasta means until, as in until we see each other again, hasta la vista. And it wasn't until later that I realised that the shopkeepers had been hearing me say until bread all that time. Casa de Campo is also under the flight path of some of Spain's largest raptors, so keep your eyes peeled on the sky and you might see griffon, vultures, or even Spanish imperial eagles.
Just had a lovely 2 or 3 minutes there with a Eurasian goshawk which was sat up in that tree. It flew overhead. You could tell that it was a goshawk by the barring on its tail and by the fact that it was a lot bigger than like a sparrowhawk, for example, which people is the most common confusion to have. So yeah, very nice. It perched up on one of the trees up there and was kind of looking around before it took off again. Unfortunately, didn't manage to get any footage of it flying, which would have been nice. I was too clumsy with the camera and the tripod and everything like that. But very, very nice. A decent birding spot that you can often overlook when you're coming to Casa de Campo is this sort of walled garden of deciduous trees, which is right by the main entrance or exit, depending on which way you're going, next to Príncipe Pío. And it's a good spot to come and have a look for sort of woodpeckers, I imagine, blue tits, great tits, different passerines, and also I suspect tawny owls. There's a couple of holes in the trees that look like they might be perfect for tawny owl nests. Not that I've seen any today, it's the wrong time of day so far. Maybe I'll come back later, but yeah. Don't skip it if you come into Casa de Campo, it's worth it. It's also got lots of shade, so on a warm day like today, it's good to come and cool off for a bit and chill out for a while. Oof, if I look hot and sweaty, it's because I am hot and sweaty, so apologies for that. This is another little pine grove area that I like to come to. It's called El Pinar de las Siete Hermanas, which is like the pine grove of the Seven Sisters, and it's kind of halfway between the metro of Lago and Batan if you're walking. It's near the theme park, and I don't know if you can hear it in the background, apologies if so, it's quite annoying. But despite that, this is quite a nice place to come and chill and do a little bird watching. Also mammal watching. I've just seen some red squirrels running around through the canopy, so if red squirrels are your jam, definitely come here. I've seen them a few times here before. You can also sometimes get eagle owls here. They've been reported on apps like eBird and iNaturalist up in the canopy. I don't know if they nest here. I think they normally nest on cliffs, but they have been spotted before, so every time I come to Casa de Campo I always sort of do a sweep through here just in case I get lucky. Yeah, but it's a very nice place to come and chill. You won't be alone. There's lots of different people having picnics and whatnot, but I guess if you come in the early morning or the late evening, you might find yourself a little bit more space. However, which leads me on to a different point actually. The best times to visit Casa de Campo, either in the morning or in the evening. Not only because the birds are more active, obviously in the morning you've got different birds in the evening you're probably more likely to see owls and things like that. But also because, especially in like late spring and throughout the summer and early autumn, it's really hot and it can be quite exposed, especially if you go deep into the park. There's not much shade, and if you don't bring a load of water, you can start to sort of take its toll quite quickly. So I recommend coming in the early morning or the evening, and if you can, come on a weekday, because on the weekends it does get really, really busy with people wanting to spend some time outside of the sort of urban part of the city. Trying and probably failing to contain my nerdy excitement here because up in the tree just behind me I have what is a lifer for me. There's not one, but there's two Eurasian scops owl, which is the smallest species of owl that you can find in Spain. A little shout out to my pal Tommy, who pointed me in the direction of where he spotted them a couple of days ago, and they're still here. Beautiful, really compact, camouflage little birds. Both of them are just tucked up against the tree trunk, and they're migratory birds, so they've just come back, I guess, from Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, places like Senegal, West Africa, Mauritania, and they're here to spend the summer. And yeah, it just goes to show that you don't have to really go very far from Madrid to see some really cool wildlife. Granted, we are about 45 minutes walk from the Lago metro, but we're only about 5 minutes walk from the Batan metro, so it is pretty close, and there's lots of people milling around. Yeah, really cool little find. Anyway, I'm gonna do a cool little transition here, and I'll let you see them close up as well. What dear?
Well, I guess I will be seeing you around. Stay tuned for more Madrid birding, and if you like this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe and all that jazz. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.